Everyone's into cash.
It's beauty.
If someone walked in right now and needed $1 million by Friday, could you do it?
The beauty of my industry, right? The private financing space, we could get it done in 24 to 48 hours. Our best month was October 2025 when we funded $7.85 million in a month. So typically we get it done strictly off revenue. That's the beauty of it, right? If a business owner has revenue, no matter their industry, the dollar size does not matter. If they have the proper documentation and the revenue to show, no matter the credentials, I'm pretty confident my underwriters, my team will get it done. So bread and butter is just working capital, revenue-based financing, getting people the right money they need to scale their brand.
I think revenue-based financing is really important because a lot of traditional banks fail entrepreneurs, right?
I thought back and realized, okay, if I'm providing this business owner the working capital to make payroll, who else am I impacting? I'm not impacting the business owner, I'm impacting the single dad that's probably working at the construction site for their family. So it's a trickle down effect where just because this business owner got the right financing, now he can provide his salary to his best worker or to the single mother, the husband who's making ends meet.
All right, so on this episode of Rukus Disruptors, we are here with Simon de Los Santos, CEO of IFundYou. Welcome today.
Thank you.
Great story. We're excited to interview you and kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that you've been up to. Been following you for a while, man, and love your content.
Appreciate it, yeah.
So, I think that if things don't go well with IFundYou, but I know you've taken off, you can always be a content creator, right?
That's good.
So welcome. So first and foremost, if someone walked in right now and needed $1 million by Friday, that's a big ask. Could you do it?
The beauty of my industry, right? The private financing space, we could get it done in 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. That's a big ask.
Yeah. So typically we get it done strictly off revenue. That's the beauty of it, right? If a business owner has revenue, no matter their industry, credit, certain parameters that banks ask for, they're very, very flexible and they get creative with the financial product that we could get them. So the dollar size does not matter. If they have the proper documentation and the revenue to show, no matter the credentials, I'm pretty confident my underwriters, my team could get it done. So that would be a no-brainer. Yeah.
That's good. That's a pretty solid response. Tell me a little bit about how you got into this, right? Funding. I mean, it's a big space right now. A lot of people online doing it. What made you come up with the idea to say, hey, we're going to go out. We're in the biggest space that there is, cash, money, right? Everyone's into cash.
It's beauty,
So, just talking about funding as we walked in, people overheard it and was like, hey, this is, I got to meet you. So, you're definitely a hot commodity. And tell me, like, what got you into this?
Yeah, great question. I think I'll probably start from, like, my foundation, right? Anything you do in life and whatever industry you're in, if you're a chef, photographer, businessman, you always have to start with, like, the foundational knowledge. And I think it started back in New York. I'm born and raised in New York City. Recently moved out here to Miami, Florida a year and a half ago. But in New York, I was always an individual who was creative and had like an analytical mindset on economics, right? From a macro perspective, just how the economy operates. And usually in school, they don't really teach you about credit, finance, things of that nature. So I actually had to learn the hard way, right? In college, I had one credit card that, I tried a e-commerce venture, trying to, become a hustler who I am today. And I failed, right? So I had
e-commerce?
In e-commerce, yeah.
Okay.
I had
what were you selling?
It was drop shipping, like Alibaba stuff, whatever the case may be.
It's a crowded space right now.
Correct, yeah. And I had a credit card which defaulted. I'm 19, 20 years old. I didn't think much of it, I'm like, that's okay. Then I logged into my Experian and I'm like, oh shoot, my credit dropped to like a 600.
Credit's important.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, okay, this is very, very important. That like sparked the plug on, okay, finances, economics, and things of that nature. So through my research, through YouTube, I learned how to fix my credit as well. I also have a background in economics, so I think it was a hand in hand of like me, being a finance geek and a nerd on my weekends, staying in and learning about finances, and actually fixed my credit, got to the bottom of that. And then from there, it was like, okay, I fixed my own credit. How much more people can I help, And then I learned about business credit, right? I had another venture that I started a car rental company in New York, right? And I had to allocate about 75 grand, no revenue showing, 22 years old in New York City with, a dream of having, a Lamborghini and Maybach, that's like one of my dream cars. And I have a Maybach in New York City strictly off business credit.
Cool. So I got to ask, what's your credit score?
7. Last time I checked, it took a little hit utilization. I'm at like 735. I actually moved down here. But yeah, like I said, like that was the foundation, just learning the basic principles of credit and knowing how to utilize it to start a business. Then from there, learn how to monetize it, got clients, got a relationship with banks. And then years pass on, different spaces pass on, connect with different people, larger revenue clients. I got to like find out which the best product for them. And I got like a good list of banks that I do work with, made, my business model in New York City. First started with SD Capital. That was my first business. I was working solely with myself. I had no team, no underwriter, in a bedroom, just cranking it out, doing everything A to Z, from accounting, from bookkeeping, from the opening calls, closing calls. Now I have a whole system. We'll talk more about what we built here in Florida, but just those foundations just built up to like what I have now, which is, an enterprise company and a staff of 15 people.
Amazing story. Amazing from starting from you, doing it all.
Yeah. Like I said, sometimes you gotta learn how to like clean the bathroom,
You got to grind. Yeah. It starts with cleaning the toilets, right? Yep. I mean, and I think in business, some of the most successful entrepreneurs I've met start with, doing the bottom of the rung position, right? And then working their way up. And I think that's how you really build a successful company, from doing every position in your company. Talked a little bit about credit. Do you guys help entrepreneurs and business owners with their credit or any type of restoration as far as with the process if they're not able to obtain financing?
Yeah, so right now we partner with a sister company, 700 Solutions. They're very, very good at what they do. That's not my bread and butter. That's not my main focus. I know in the credit restoration space, everything is case by case. Right. It's an industry where there's a lot of individuals, right? And individuals can, fix a report in 30 days or it may take a year, So we don't primarily focus on that. We do partner with another company, but bread and butter is just, working capital, revenue-based financing, getting people the right money they need to scale their brand.
I think revenue-based financing is really important because a lot of traditional banks fail entrepreneurs, right? Or business owners. So I can't tell you how many friends of mine that say, they have an expectation. They've gone to the bank. They're getting a line of credit for 100, 250, 500,000. They have the expectation that they're going to go through this entire loan process and get funding. And sometimes they don't. So tell me what's different with IFundYou as far as you guys, because I know you don't always use traditional banks, or do you?
No, yeah, we do have traditional banks as partners, but the private side is much more a way bigger gap in a target audience, right? Like the market supply on the private side is much bigger. We could service a lot more business owners through alternative financial solutions because, like you did state, traditional banks are great. Don't get me wrong; they're great to hold balances, operate checking accounts, transfer money, wire money. But when you go to the lending side, that's when it gets very, very intense with the underwriting and certain documentation that majority of business owners don't have. Some people don't have a P&L sheet, right? Balance sheet, or did their taxes properly, or are making the revenue, or have the 700 FICO. These are certain parameters that eliminates about 75% of business owners in America that can't even qualify, walk into their own institution and get a financial product. They may give you a credit card for like 20, 50 grand, as zero interest for like about 6 to 12 months. And after that, it's like 29 APR, So, but to get like a heavy loan, right? You asked me to get $1 million in 24 hours, we get it done, or a line of credit. These are different financial products that, with the banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, just to name a few, they can get it done, but it's very, very industry specific, a lot of parameters that they need to get the job done, right? It's an appetite. Everyone has different appetites. It's like if you like seafood and I like, American food, we're not, you're not going to come to the American food restaurant with me. Right. Everyone's different. Every bank is different.
So talk to me a little bit about revenue. What are you guys doing right now? Best month ever, and how much money have you put out in capital wise?
Yeah. So we started October 2024. So we're about 16 months in. Our best month was October 2025. We funded $7.85 million in a month.
Wow, funded. That's pretty substantial, right?
Yeah. We're averaging around 2 to 10. All right. We haven't cracked the 10 mark yet. That's my next goal.
That's the goal, huh?
To crack 9 figures funding in a month, but we're at that 2 to 7 mark, which is a good issue to have, good problem to have. And yeah, that was our biggest month in October. We had a lot of big deals on renewals, clients that needed nurturing. And that's the beauty of the industry, right? Once you help a client one time, they're a repeating customer.
They keep coming back, right?
Because they had success with the financial product. The alternative financing space allows individuals to, get the capital they need if their own bank doesn't provide them with the capital. So yeah,
that's great. So when you're financing a deal, what's the most important thing that you guys look for when evaluating a deal? Like, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you would say that could get someone qualified for people watching this out there that might say, wow, this is something I could work on or I can do if they wanted to come to you?
No, yeah. I mean, the beauty of that question, it changes every quarter. you know, and I learned that like being in business and this side heavily, right? Being a subject matter expert in this industry for about the last 2-3 years, every quarter changes. Like my bankers and my lenders call me like, look, hey, I'm not lending to this industry anymore. Hey, look, I'm looking more at this, right? Like one lender, I met with him. There was a conference about 2 weeks ago. He said, look, I'm not funding medical home businesses. I'm like, wow. People love medical industries, you know, and he gave me insight where like a lot of insurance have back pays, net 60, net 30s, where, you know, a lot of claims aren't being settled from the client perspective, you know? So I'm like, okay, I checked that off the list. So like I said, I would say the top 2 to 3 parameters will always be cash flow, right? How do you get your transactions? You know, do you get wires? Are you getting paid from insurance? Do you have a POS system, right? Is it something that, you know, I can forecast the next 4 months for you and get you revenue based off, you know, that projection, right? There are some things that my underwriters look at, as well as like, do you have a brick and mortar space, right? Individuals love to fund only brick and mortar industries, like restaurants. If you have like a restaurant, if you have a practice, things of that nature, like home-based business, like entrepreneurs, let's say marketing, they probably wouldn't like it, but then we do have certain banks or lenders that, you know, are open to that. So every lender has their own different appetite. Just to sum up your question, and is the beauty of what I like to do is like learning, okay, I have this file. I already know this guy can do it. I know this guy can do it.
That's cool, man. So what would you say like the number one space for you of where the most funding would come from? Restaurants, business owners, what would you say?
I would say I had this debate with my business partner, you know, he loves trucking. Trucking is deemed as high risk to a lot of people, but they typically make a lot of revenue.
Okay.
They have a lot of contracts, but then their credit or their personal information won't be the best. And that leaves a lot of meat on the bone for our industry, right? Okay. This is a bigger target audience. But for me, I'll keep it simple. Like the restaurants are great. Like a restaurant can make, you know, $6 figures a month, right? It's not tremendous revenue, but they have about 150 transactions, you know? Their POS system is off the charts. And I know banks, private lending, they jump on that because that shows stability that this merchant can pay back,
cash flow.
Correct. Yeah. And they have a brick and mortar space. They have a lease for 5 years. They're not going anywhere, you know, and they're selling an essential product. Everyone loves food, you know, food business, you know, it's a business where I feel like individuals join it for passion. It's not a lucrative industry. You know, some restaurants are great, you know, but I think restaurants, those owners, every time I speak to them, they have a passion, right? They say, hey, Simon, my stove broke. I need a new stove. I love that. Like, I like hearing things like that. Right. Like, don't get me wrong, the dollar size and the funding is cool, but it's like, okay, what are the use of funds and what's your pain point? Like, let me help you with the pain point.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
Business. We all want to help someone. And correct. I think anytime you're finding a solution, that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, 100%.
Talk to me a little bit about a deal that's truly changed someone's life because, you know, money and resources really give you the ability to do good, right? And I know, you know, when you're helping people and you're providing, you know, resources through a loan process, you've probably seen some great stories that have happened. So share a little bit with us about that.
There's a lot. There's a lot of individuals who I've helped, you know, and they contact me every other month and they show me their updates, you know, like back to the restaurant example, when he got a new stove, he actually FaceTimed me and showed me the location. I've never been to the location. It's a pizza shop in Maryland. So
oh, really?
I don't want to disclose his business name, but when I'm out in Maryland, I'll show love. I'll go over there and shake some hands. But yeah, like little things like that. And I think one example that comes to the top of my mind was a construction company in New York, where he said he was making a lot of revenue, right? Around four to 700 a month. And he had staffed like 75 people, you know, and he was very worried about making payroll the next upcoming quarter, you know, and I thought about it that night, you know, I'm like, look, this might be a big deal size, right? The commission is going to be great, but, you know, I spoke to God on it, not only for the deals to happen, but also like who I'm impacting on the other side. Because when I thought back and realized, okay, I'm helping this business owner who employs 75 people who, you know, make a living based off his vision or based on his services. So if I'm providing, you know, this business owner the working capital to make payroll, who else am I impacting? I'm not impacting the business owner. I'm impacting the single dad that's probably working at the construction site for their family. You know, so it's a trickle down effect where, you know, just because this business owner got the right financing, now he can provide his salary to his best worker or to the single mother or to the husband who's, you know, making ends meet. And I thought about it and I said something to my team. I think that next morning said, look, let's get back to focusing on impact. Right? We're consultants, right? Let's find out the certain use case. Like you will never be the subject matter expert in every industry, but in this space, I've learned a lot about everything, about people in marketing, people in AI, people in construction and healthcare, because now I understand their ledgers, I understand their statements and what they need it for, and now I'm at a point where, oh yeah, I already done this before. It's a reoccurring, it's the same storyline with every industry. Let me guess, is it this? It is, you know what I'm saying? So that's the beauty of it. Like, I think when I sat back and realized, look, I'm going to impact his employees so they can obviously, get their salary or their bi-weekly check, that made my day, and he currently got funded about $275 with us. And he's still on the books and look for financing probably Q2, Q3 this year.
That's awesome. So a lot of people are national with you. You service nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah.
Okay. So not just locally. You're based in Fort Lauderdale?
Fort Lauderdale, correct.
Okay. And how do you guys get business? So like from a marketing standpoint, is it all referral?
Yeah. Typically, the first year of us opening, my CMO and the back team have the exact metric. It's I would say about 65% of our business the first year were all organic through social media or affiliates.
That's great.
Yeah, that closed. About 35 to 37% were from the advertisements.
Okay.
We run some ads, right? My CMO on the nerdy side, shout out to John, my CMO, if you're watching this. He's very good at what he does. He run Meta ads, Google ads, and things of that nature. We had some success there. We had a lot of files that came in through there, but nothing's better than organic and word of mouth.
You're right.
Nothing's
and
better
I think
than
showing the finished product of someone getting funding and success stories. I mean, a customer having success with you guys and talking about that is so big.
No, 100%.
I mean, that's huge. So
100%.
Talking a little bit about where do you think, alternative lending and capital is going in the next 3 to 5 years? You think the space is going to continue to grow at the space that it was, because it's really done well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with the economy. I know we have, not to get political, I know we have Donald Trump in office. He's very, very good at what he does on the business side in terms of like certain tariffs, certain things that can help the economy and small business owners in America. So I think depends strictly on the economy on a macro perspective. And to get more detailed within the space, there's a lot of different lenders who are getting more creative. Like I have a lender who adjusts, their monthly or bi-weekly or weekly debits based off your revenue. So if you made $150,000 right in February, but let's say you contact me, hey, look, Simon, March, I'm on a lower scale. I made about 75 to 85 gross. Anyway, we can make adjustments. The bank will automatically do it for you, and they'll extend your term. So there's different like intricacies of the lending space that's always adapting. As everybody knows, AI and technology is going to take over a lot of different things. And I've seen it from like my day-to-day operations in terms of like even me using ChatGPT or automations, integrations on like how my system works, from like the intake form from like when a client first comes into my website to like the funding, right? I think that whole process can get automated as well. And it's always different ways my underwriters can improve on their work. And I think the more we have data, the more I see, okay, I like this industry, right? They made money on this money. And we have that concrete detail and data. I think like sky's the limit for what this space can do. You probably, I think in the future, you probably open up your phone and, plug in your financials, and you probably get an offer like instantly. Right.
It is. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, AI is just become an amazing tool, and it's affected so many spaces. Obviously, especially the marketing space. It's been really good for our company as well. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about IFundYou. Like, what makes you guys dangerous in this market?
Yeah, it's a lot of different reasons. I think one, like I did state previously, just the process from A to Z, how clients get nurtured. Even as little as the UI on our website, the interface, right? Like how individuals, feel secured. They get called instantly in 10 minutes. Like if you literally go on my website, well, today's Saturday, probably one of my closers, if they get it right now. If you fill out a form on my website, you're going to get a call in 10 minutes. IFundYou.com. IFundYou.com.
Okay. Love the name, by the way. Great logo.
Straight to the point.
IFundYou.com. So simple.
Straight to the point.
Getting a key domain is very, very strong, and you did a great job with that.
Yeah. A lot of individuals ask me how I got it. Yeah, it was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, how did you get it?
I mean, obviously, you go to GoDaddy and Namecheap, and then it was a hefty price. I think
so you bought it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody actually had it, so we had to like negotiate with them and get it. But
you're lucky, man, that you were able to get it. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. I was like, we need this name. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, domains are really important, right? Showing up on search and affiliate wise, we talked prior, you and I met outside of here. The affiliate space is huge, right? Referrals. So you guys pay a small percentage to affiliates that generate leads for you and bring them. What is that commission that you guys pay them?
Yeah.
Just for people out there watching this.
Yeah. So a lot of individuals, there's a lot of different signups that you can do with different companies. We like to stay competitive, especially when not only who we offer to and like what lenders we work with, but the type of people who, sign up as an affiliate, right? We work with individuals who are in the marketing space like yourself, people who are credit consultants, people who are in real estate, who,
nice.
Like, and the beauty of it, like, throughout your day-to-day operations, you probably interacted or shook hands with a business owner. You probably stopped at your nearby coffee shop and you got coffee. You probably got a haircut, right? And your barber's a business owner, like different things like that. And I think before we got live, you actually said it like, I'm in an industry where it's like, we're selling money. Everyone needs money, like this nation is backed by money and having good debt. Real estate is good debt. Everything is good debt. Obviously, if you take a loan or a credit card and you max it out, whatever case may be, you go on vacation, that's bad debt. That's consumer debt, right? But if you use, debt the correct way to scale your brand, it's like a no-brainer. So you can go on IFundYou.com, click on the top left icon, you click partner with us, and then from there's an intake form. My assistant will get to it. They'll have you sign a W-9. Verification process probably takes 24, 40 hours. After that, you'll get a welcome email, and then you'll have your own portal. You have your own portal, your own resources, content material, things of that nature. And then from there, you can start, helping business owners, who you speak to on a day-to-day basis, who you service. And typically we range from 30 to 40% commission based off, what, we gross as a company.
That's awesome.
So every deal is different. Correct.
So favorite business quote? Favorite business quote?
I don't know. Like there's a lot of different quotes and books that I read.
So I read a lot.
Yeah.
What's the recent read? And then share with me
I read this back in New York, but I'm rereading it again. The Magic of Thinking Big.
Okay.
Yeah. And Atomic Habits. Those are like two books that, Magic of Thinking Big, I first got introduced by it in New York back with my mentor, and Atomic Habits is another good one that I picked up recently. And it's very, very good. Like I think the Atomic Habits literally is the foundation of like mindset. And it may sound cliche, but literally like your mind is everything. Like is from like the beginning of starting a new business, from like the doubts, the failures, the wins, the losses, you can be negative about anything, and it could be a detriment to not only you, but obviously your whole business and who you lead and who you impact. And that can mess up the next deal, So those two books are my most recent reads. And I think, the Magic of Thinking Bit is like goes hand in hand, right? Like having the idea of like having a delusional mindset, right? Like if you tell me, Adam, right now, let's go to the moon, I may look at you like, hey, you're a little crazy, but if you give me that look and he's like, no, I'm serious, let's plan it out.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's find out. Let's find out how we do it. That's the Magic of Thinking Bit. We may not ever go to the moon, but you just having that idea or thought, you're going to end up somewhere.
That's right. What you believe you will achieve.
Correct.
Right. That's one of my favorite quotes. And, I always feel like, you have to it starts with believing in yourself, and you guys have done that with your company. So that's really cool. So let's move to talk a little about spirituality and
let's do it.
And God. I know you're a Christian because I see your stuff and you're sharing Bible verses. How does that play a role in your daily life and some of the success that you've had, right? That's pretty important.
Yeah. I'll start again from the foundation. Like when I grew up in New York, every Sunday, my mom used to take me to church. So I think that was the foundation of, learning about Christ and things of that nature. And, when you're young, sometimes, waking up on a Sunday morning, maybe, I got to wake up Sunday and go to church. But now at this age, in this state of my life, I got very, very close to God the past year, like very close, like every night, every morning, reading Bible affirmations, learning the word and different stories. And I think that molded me, for this next phase that I'm in, right? I think in life and in business, you have different phases. First is like the discovery phase, right? You're learning about what you want to do. You find that passion. Once you find a passion in what you want to do and you love it, that's when, get into phase two, where now you're in the ball game, right? You're in the middle of like earning and creating things. And once you're in that phase two where I'm at right now, there's roadblocks. And what do you do when you have a roadblock? It could, mess you up mentally, but you go back to the Lord.
That's true, man.
Because the Lord is literally showing you what you need to do and how you overcome this. Because like I was telling Joseph, like my videographer on the ride over here, like everyone has a story.
You're right.
Everyone has a story. Everyone has a sad story.
Yes.
Everyone has something that can, mess them up. But if you never have someone, and it could be any higher being or your maker, whoever, you believe in, if you don't like go back to that individual or talk to that individual, and you don't have a sense of belief or faith, everything would just like your day would just stop. Like I had bad months where I'm like, damn, we didn't meet our quota this month, or we're going, we had a bad month. We got to reinvest back into the business. I don't know my KPIs. I don't know my metrics. These are all things that I learned in the past year of business. Like, and this is what I learned like from being an entrepreneur back in New York, right? Just me, one-man army, running the ship, and now having an enterprise and an organization. I learned many, many different factors. And I think to bring it back home, like me walking with the Lord and having faith, right? Walk with faith, not sight, right? I love that scripture as well.
That's good.
I think that like molded me to like anything, like nothing phases me because I know my maker. I know I'm a God-fearing man. Like that's the individual who I know can guide me, and he's just making my story. If not, the end goal will never be sweet. The end goal has to be sweet. The end goal could be, you're in a beach, successful. You've done everything. You got all the cars, the watches. You traveled. You did everything you wanted to. Now you're in a beach relaxing, and you're telling the Lord, "Wow, like now I really understood, why you brought me through this and why I had to go through this." It's all a learning experience. So I think just that analytical mindset and just that whole, that whole like psychic or visualization I just had of me at the beach, literally just visualize myself on the beach, finished all my business. I'm done on life. And I'm just thinking the Lord, like, thank you. Like now the nights that I stood up late, the nights that I doubted myself, the nights where, I was nervous, the nights where, I had like panic attacks. These are things that it happens,
Oh yeah.
It happens.
Yeah,
and
so shout out to mom, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom for dragging me to church. Shout out to your mom for introducing us to church when we didn't want to go. And my mom actually put me in a Christian school at a really young age.
Okay.
And looking back, that was one of the best things that I felt like she did because, just having that walk and having that ability to lean on God and prioritize that in my life. So going back to beautiful. Books, I started reading Proverbs 1 a day, when the new year started. Great book, by the way. Okay. Try it one verse a day.
Yep.
You could do it for 31 days. Just so much wisdom in that book. I'm doing Psalms right now. So,
yep.
Kind of reading that and getting through that, which is good, and kind of focused on that. A little bit of moving into advice, because you've been very successful, and I love to talk to people and kind of hear, you've had a lot of success in the last 18 months. What would you say the best business advice that you could give someone that's considering starting a business and taking that step into doing what you guys did? Because it takes a lot of risk. Like what you guys did wasn't easy. You went out, found a domain, did a logo, opened up shop. I saw on your Instagram, got a new office. Like, it takes a lot.
Yeah. And that question is very vague because I think just to even have an idea and starting, like how I give the analogy of like you saying you want to go to the moon or thinking big. I think it all starts there. Like what I would say, there's never will be a right time for you to start the business. Never. Like just jump, right? You have to jump, because individuals in society, they have analysis paralysis. They will overanalyze the situation or overanalyze a business plan or the industry, and they speak about it. We all have that friend that say, "Hey, I'm gonna start this business. Hey, I'm gonna open up this shop or this restaurant or whatever you want to do," and they never done it. We're on year 2, 2026. They haven't even made the move.
Right.
They even started by opening up the LLC or whatever the case may be. But you have to get your feet wet. Like it's like in sports. I'm a sports guy. Like if you're not on the court, you will never get the ball.
Yeah, I think I saw you at a Heat game. We'll have to hit one together. I love the Heat games. So that's like one of the best tickets in town because it's just so much energy there.
Yeah.
You can go there and just have a great time.
For sure, yeah.
And it's really, really fun. So I'm a big sports fan too. I love sports.
Yeah. Just get in the game. You get on the court. You get on the court, you're going to miss shots, you're going to make shots. But eventually, when that ball, finally lands on the right pocket or you get that opportunity, that's when you speak to God, and he was like, wow, this was everything I needed, everything I wished for, because you never know when the opportunity is going to land. So I think that's one of the best advices I got. It's just,
I like that. That's good advice.
You never know when it's going to start. You just,
right.
you just
and you never know who you're going to meet too. Like
yeah.
I always say, motion creates the ocean, right? You have to get out there.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And like, when we started recording content and going down that road, we talked a little bit about that before because, being in advertising and marketing, there's, we really weren't, putting out a lot of content. So I was like, we've got to get out there. We've got to start, promoting the brand online. And, so I think you guys have just done an amazing job, but I want to thank you for, coming on today, doing really big things in the financial space, Simon. Check these guys out at IFundYou, and IFundYou.com. Just really, really excited for what your future holds, man.
No, I appreciate it. It was an honor. Like I said, like to give you flowers. I know we definitely connected. I believe Q4 2025.
Yeah, we met some time back.
So from the first day we met, I know it was like genuine, great guy. I know you were, had a lot of industry experience as well, and we had great conversations. So when you reached out for the opportunity,
I met your partner too. Super cool guy, right? You guys are in it together, right? 50-50 kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. Shout out to Brandon if you're watching.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon. We'll have to get him on next time.
No, he'll be on here.
Do two mics with both of you guys talking. That would be fun.
Yeah. But like I said, like give you flowers, thank you for the opportunity, and like I said, it's always, like I said, I never take it, for granted. Like I tell everybody this, like individuals who, like say, hey Simon, your work impacts me or your post impacts me, keep going. That's what individuals need. Sometimes people need flowers,
You're right.
Like sometimes people don't even say, hey, I like your shirt today.
Right. You're right.
And that could do wonders for you.
Compliments can go a long way. And sometimes just someone believing in you a little bit, right? Like I look back to a coach that I had in high school. His name was Rich Hoffman, one of the best football coaches. He coached me in football. Nice. And, the cool thing about him is he had all these great athletes. A-Rod was at our school, JD Arteaga, he's with UM now. They played baseball, but I played football with both of those guys. And, Rich Hoffman was just so motivational as a coach, and I really think that changed my life. Like him believing in me and saying like, hey, let's go the extra mile, push. Like I still hear him in my head to this day, yelling at me and being like, pushing me in the gym and trying to put me under weight. I really couldn't even lift, but he believed in me and I ended up lifting that weight. And I feel like, a lot of my success goes back to that person believing in me and giving compliments to you. So that goes so far. But again, thanks so much for coming on. Let me close this one more time, just because I felt like I stuttered a little bit on IFundYou. So I want to thank Simon today from IFundYou, bro. Yep. Great conversation. Pumped up about your future. You guys are just killing it.
Thank you.
Check these guys out. All their social handles below. And I definitely think you're going to see some collabs coming with Brand Rukus and IFundYou in the future.
Let's do it.
So again, thanks for your time, bro. Great story, man. And excited to share this. So we're gonna cut this up. We're gonna have a podcast, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, beautiful. Bro. Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
Thank you.